We have an agenda, and it's set up here on the side, and that's what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to start with the agenda, and we are going to have a panel discussion up here. And the first discussion that we are going to talk about is the Quapaw funeral ceremony. So I'm going to hand it over to Jeremy and Everett at this time.
I sent Skip a text and his phone's at home. Somebody must have been on their phone at home.
Oh, I found him in your bag. There's a long walk. Oh, yeah. There's another. I
Thank you all for bearing along with us. Donna asked for our assistance with gathering some folks to talk about the different portions of our funeral, and wanted this to be an opportunity for folks to ask questions. Sometimes it's difficult to ask questions. Traditionally, you don't really get the opportunity all the time. You just get to watch things and learn by doing it. So we wanted our folks to have the chance to be able to talk about that and ask questions, and we thought that was good. So a group of us got together and tried to think of everyone that we could that has helped with running a funeral ceremony, or being a head cook, or a fire starter, or a head gravedigger, like that, and asked a group of them. And of course, not everyone was able to attend, and not everyone wanted to be able to speak, but we got a pretty good group here that represent quite a bit of knowledge here. There's some really respected elders in our tribe that have decided to take the time out of their lives to speak with y'all, and it's an opportunity to be able to question them and talk to them in a nice setting. So I just wanted to be able to introduce that and let you all know that Donna wanted this to be done in a way that we could ask questions, and so I want to encourage you all to do that. And we're going to give some time for our headmen that can run a funeral ceremony to talk about what all goes into that, and some time for them to ask questions, and then we'll move to our cooks, and they'll talk about the things that women take care of, and then start talking about the fire and the grave. But just kind of let you all know what's going on. And I'm going to turn this mic here over. Let all of us, everybody.
Anybody's got a chair we'd like to have a little over here, Brandon.
Here.
Oh, okay. Here, get some. You got one?
This is the only mic, Donna. Jeremy wanted me to give everyone here a chance to introduce ourselves before we move on, so I'm going to hand the mic around, and I guess I'm going to be running this mic around here, so.
Sean Elliott. Bladen Stan.
Hi, my name is Joey Gibbs Water. I'm tracking a griffin over here. So. Hello.
Mike Shawty.
My name is Jeremy Olson. I'm a Quapaw. Come from the Quapaw family. A while back, my uncle Catfish, he passed away. He used to run most of our ceremonies for our graves. And my uncle Henry over there, and my uncle Harry, when that happened, that position was kind of handed down throughout the family. And they got together and decided that maybe me and my brother Sean Ray over there would take over this position. And and we it's not a position that was something that they had a class for or anything like this, or where we had question and answer or anything like that. It was just more of a, if you showed up and you paid attention, then that's how you learned. Back whenever we were young, you didn't ask questions. You just listened and sat there, and if you picked it up, then you did. If not, then old folks would give you one of them backhands if you asked questions, if you used to do something that was out of line, that they were there. That's how we learned, just showing up to these ceremonies and paying attention. Taking out the trash, cutting meat up, whatever the old folks in the kitchen wanted us to do, or Uncle Leonard used to let me carry fire in or something for him. That's how you learned. I know that times are a little bit different now, and that's not anything that I don't think is bad, but it's just the way it's evolution, I guess, in a tribe. So today we just wanted to get together and answer some questions. Anybody who has any needs to know, because there's a lot of families out there that are struggling to know what to do when someone passes away. Who do I ask? What do I do? I'm lost, and that's a perfect way to be when you lose somebody, because you're in total unrest. You don't know what to do sometimes. And that's okay. So we're just going to use this time here today to maybe ask Mike, Sean, us boys up here, some questions. If you have any questions, feel free to ask anything. Just want to thank you all for being here.
I'm sorry, we couldn't hear a word you said.
Hello, my name is Mariah Tyner.
I'm Virginia Mouse.
My name's Dina Huey. My Seneca name is Kokuno, because when I was little, I was told that the Quapaws didn't give names anymore. So that's how I got a Seneca name.
Hello, my name is Mary Gravediggers, and I got my Quapaw name from Bob Whiteford, and there's a lot of conflict as to whether he was able to give it or not, but my name's Martina.
My name is Minnie Francis Hall. I'm not really a senior, I'm a junior senior. Okay, and I'm from the Track family and Chat family. I was raised to learn repetition. The old ones did not allow us to video, write things down, because that's not our way. Okay, my Indian name was given to me by my grandma Symphona when I turned 16. She also took me down. I got an Osage name. Unfortunately, I have a Ponca name and an Otomaseria name. But I was always told you don't give her a name until you're there to meet your maker. He's going to ask you, who are you? What's your name? And what's your tribe? That's when you tell your name. So, my name is my name. When I die, you'll hear it. Thank you.
I'm Carrie Wilson from Quapaw family. Grandma Supernal gave me my name. I was given to Betty Goodikle as my little mother, and my name is Majika.
Hello, I'm Joita Smith. I'm from the Quapaw family too, of course, and because Edward over there is my brother. But I'm sitting in for my mom, Rita Quapaw. She was head cook for many years, and she's just not been in good health, and she's actually taking care of my sister right now. So I cooked with her. She taught me everything I know, and I learned a lot from Aunt Maud and Aunt Seal back in the day, and just grew up, and my papa, Ed Quapaw, always brought me around, so I learned the tradition and everything. So I'm just here to fill in for my mom.
Does anyone have any questions they would like to ask? Feel free to come on up.
How deep is the grave and how deep is it with the casket? We ask that every time we have a funeral. You're supposed to cast it off.
48 and 38. Hello. 48 for a mold, 38 for a casket.
Well, shoot, usually it's, like we sit there and talk about it every time, we should have got it tattooed on us when Uncle Bill told us to. Dad Bill, he said, why don't you boys just tattoo that on your arm? You guys will know every time instead of asking each other every time. Hey, that's pretty smart. Probably should, but never did. The 48 down for a vault for the vault length, because it's 36 tall, you want to at least have 12 to 18 inches of dirt on top for settlement. Sometimes you just can't make it, even with the backhoe, sometimes you just can't. They don't work like that. Not around here anyways, because everything's so packed full of rock. And then a casket is 38, because usually the standard casket is 28 or 29 tall, usually about that. So you try to go 38 for the 12 to 18 inches of dirt on top for settlement. You don't want to something out there digging around and just touch the top of that vault right underneath the dirt, vault underneath the dirt of the casket. But just to let you guys know, if anybody ever wonders, by state law, by law, just in general, you don't always have to have a vault at every graveyard in the state. They'll tell you, every funeral home will tell you, and every vault company will tell you, you have to have it. As Indian people, on Indian trust land, at Indian cemeteries, where mostly all of us will always go, you don't have to. you can go in a blanket and a ground if you want to. I'm just telling you guys that it'll save your families a lot of money, save you guys a lot of time on different, not just, on the funeral expenses, that's part of the biggest part, but it sure saves on some backs too, it's just hard to do. As hard as, I don't know how to explain that, doing it by hand, digging through limestone, is a very hard, complicated thing to do. I'll just say that much though.
One of our most common questions is, who do we get a hold of? What do we do first? Of course, you want to get a hold of your head man first. He will guide you to what you need to do next. So usually the family will come in contact with me. When I was young, Uncle Leonard and Uncle Ronnie and all them guys that used to take care of these things, you would show up at their door with usually tobacco, handkerchief, some kind of cloth or something like that. See, that's one of our traditions that has slipped away. There's still some families that do that. Buffalo family, they still do that. I can remember laying in my floor after we just finished a funeral one time, and Lloyd and every one of his sisters showed up at my house, and I was laying on the floor and almost naked, trying to get some sleep, and they all just rushed right through the door. Robin let them right in the door, and I was like, oh, hold on a second. But they showed up with some tobacco and something. That's how we used to ask somebody to do something for them, and that's pretty much anything. If you want somebody to come over to smoke your house, or really just want to talk and ask questions. Yeah, that's one thing. What do we do first? And that's the first step right there. Is you got to find your head man, and you'll ask him what you need to ask him.
It used to be that it would just be, I can speak loud enough. It used to be that it would just be you would go, your nephew would bury you. There was always, there was a pecking order to it. The nephew went, so you would go to them, but now things have gotten kind of spread out. People don't know their ways, they don't know things. So that nephew has become, who's the leader at the time, who do you think of as would be taking care of that person. So things have changed, and that kinship that used to be everything was based on kind of has evolved into something else.
I know when my brother passed, I asked my grandson to help when he got some board. And then when I had my house smoked, I asked Ever.
Is that the only thing that's changed? Do you all do the same thing every time?
No, my recollection is not going to be the same as Mike's here. It's not going to be the same as Rick. Mike's been around longer than I am. I'm only 47 years old. He's pretty old, but he's seen things, but that's the same with anything else. Your perspective on how you see things and you remember things they're all going to be slightly different. Maybe it's a little different, but we have those milestones that we try to hit throughout this ceremony, and maybe it is a little bit different than I did see my uncle did. But
Y'all make fire for it?
yeah, we make fire.
Part of it?
Yeah, that's the second thing we do is the family will ask somebody to come up and build a fire. Wherever the body is going to lie in state.
I've been to a lot of funerals, different tribes. This is the first time I came to a tribe unique like this, that your own people can dig your hole and put you away like that. It's unique. These men right here should be honored more. There's more men here, I know. In the last 2 years, this tribe has put away so many people. And it was a constant thing there for a hot minute. And these men had to get more men to keep it going. It should be thanked for that time. It was a hard time for these men here. They suffered for you all. And they sacrificed for you. I've seen that with my own eyes. And now, you have a way to go home, traditionally Indian way, at Native American church, that Brandon has brought back to you all. It's a good thing, it's a good way. From beginning to end, there's something in it for all facets of life. And then it'll take you home too. It's a good way. This one here is where I'm from. Lookout family, that church there. We got that from you all. That's your way. We do it. It's a good way. That church up there is a good way. Since Grandma Slago came and gave it to us, it's still going today. It's only missed one time. I'm very proud of that. These men right here are part of that. That old way kind of way. And they're trying to carry it on, perpetuate it. It's a good thing for you all. I think it's a good thing. And you all should get behind it. Put your faith in that. Because it's bigger than anybody can hear, can say. You have to witness it. You have to go and see it. To be a part of it. That's all I have to say. Talking on.
Thank you, Ricky. Yes, he was saying that fire, we will start a fire, and the family will ask somebody, the head man, if the family doesn't know, the head man will recommend somebody to start a fire, and we'll stay with that fire for the remainder of the services, the ceremony. We'll split it up, we'll split part of it for the cooks, and we'll take the rest of it to the gravesite with us, and let it burn there while we take care of things over there. And we had a class yesterday with some children, some kids from the suicide prevention class over there. What's her name? Lily Bertram. My cousin. But she has some youth over there that are looking for a way. That's that fire right there, as we try to express ourselves to these little ones over there, is more than just a fire to us. It's a living, breathing part of our culture, of our ceremony, of our life. And without that, I don't think we could even have a ceremony. It lights the way for us, for that person, that soul that is searching there for that road to heaven, to the good folks over there. But these kids over there, troubled kids, and each one of them sat there that whole time and paid attention. We had a young lady struck that fire with the first strike of that flint and that steel. She had all of us grown-ups up there in tears. I'm not afraid to say that. it was special and it was touching. She would take the time of her life and participate and want to learn something like that. But they say it's a man's world out there, but there's no more men. The women are going to be the ones to take over for us. I believe that. I'm proud of these women over here that sit here with us and get there in the kitchen and take care of that body up there. My mom, she used to cook. She'd go over there and wash that body off, dress and say loving and caring things to that body. I've been there and witnessed it. There's more than just what you see in front of you, what's going on. And that's why we're here today, I guess, to, if you have any questions, we're here to answer them. It's a little bit different nowadays, like I said. I guess this is the time we're in. You use it or lose it. I don't want to lose it. I don't think anybody here does.
The order of the Gravediggers is our head Gravedigger, second, third, fourth, something like that, or what? How does it go?
It's usually just the head gravedigger, and they pick their help. So, once that family comes and asks you to take care of this loved one, truthfully, the way it used to be is that headman, he took over everything. He found the head cook, unless the family wanted a certain person, then they would ask them. Same with the gravedigger, same with the fireman. Usually that fireman came first, because as soon as that person passed, we wanted to get that fire started. So with me living around Tulsa area, I always have to call these guys. And usually Joey's my fireman. I'll get him to light that fire, get that fire going.
How long does that fire burn?
The fire burns from whenever he gets it started till we're through using it after the burial, and we get ready to eat that new meal.
How many days?
Usually 4 days. So we usually count that first day when that person passes, and 3 more days after that. So that's the way it used to be. Now, sometimes you have to make exceptions for that. It's coming down to where more people are getting cremated and they live in another state. It takes them a while to get here. So you have to shorten up sometimes, The family just may want to sit up one night, so we try to get it started as quick as we can. Just according to the family. Economics plays a part in everything nowadays. If everybody knows here, funerals aren't cheap anymore. They never were really cheap. And they go up constantly, so. But usually it was up to that headman to find all that out, get it started, and get it taken care of. So once that headman appoints those cooks, or gets the cook, and they get their help, they'll start cooking, because these guys will be out here no matter when. So if it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, they're already thinking about getting them some supper at 6 o'clock, feeding them at midnight, and then carrying on all the way through about every 6 hours. So that's just, it used to be that people would bring food to help this family out, because more or less, we're all trying to minister to this family, trying to help them keep their strength. So, and that's gone by the wayside here the last few funerals I've been to here. Very rarely anybody brings food anymore. So it's just things I've seen change growing up, coming up here. We get to certain parts of this. I like to see children come in. I like to see parents bring their children, but I also notice that they don't control their children. They run crazy through the building and stuff. That's disrespectful. You bring your children, they can go outside up until dusk, let them play all they want. As soon as it starts getting dark, bring them in, make them sit down. Let them learn something. So that's what I like to see.
Well,
And that's the way it used to be. When I was little, we'd play hard all day long because we knew when we came in, we had to sit there. So that's just some of the things I see. You know, we brought up the church. You know, used to, this church, the Peota Church, the Native American Church, has only been around about, I'd say, close to 150 years maybe, at the most. Usually we didn't bring any element of the word Jesus in there. Everybody's got their own language. And most tribal languages do not have a word for Jesus. But you do have a word for God, which in our case is Wakanda. You know, so we take it from there. But the more and more as it goes, that church is starting to sneak its way into a traditional funeral. So if you want a Christian funeral, have a Christian funeral by all means. But if you want a traditional funeral, you know, if I'm running a funeral for somebody, I'm not going to stop you from having a Christian preacher or somebody come in. That's totally up to the family, because like I said, we're just here to try to show them what we know, tell them what we know, and minister to them that way. If they want to bring in an outside Christian element to it, by all means, go ahead and do that. I'm not going to tell you no. So, but when it comes down to it, we pray to one person, that's usually God. So, I mean, that might be a little different than what you hear nowadays, but that's the way I was brought up.
What time do you start your first day?
The first day would be before midnight. If it was 11 o'clock p.m., then that was your first day. And after midnight, second day.
I mean, when they pass away?
Yeah, when I pass the time.
Before midnight, okay.
Mm-hmm. She asked what time is the first day does it start. So if they passed away at 10 p.m. on a Monday, that's when it will start. If it was after midnight, then it would be the first day. It would be Tuesday, technically Tuesday. Yeah. Before midnight is one day. The first day.
So does the head cook and the head fireman work together?
They should,
They should?
Yeah.
because he's the one usually taking care of the fire, so that's where she's supposed to get her fire sometimes. And that fire's supposed to be pure, so I started with that flint. Nothing else is supposed to go in that fire. You know, some tribes will they'll burn their leftover food. Quapaws are not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to put anything in that fire. It's supposed to remain pure all the way through. And when we smoke, you're not supposed to put those coals back in there because you use that cedar on it. You take it out east and get rid of it. Let it burn out or whatever. But you're not supposed to put it back in that fire.
And the kitchen, the women, they have their stuff, and the men have their stuff. So we try not to get in there with the women there. Yeah, unless you want to work or.
I'm gonna move this mic a little bit. He was talking about, there's a place for men and a place for women. And we kind of traditionally didn't talk over each other. And sometimes women didn't always express themselves in public. And they haven't really said a whole lot. Sometimes some women don't mind doing it, but I wanted to just give them an opportunity to say some stuff too, like maybe they could talk. I know they all prepared some notes too, things they wanted to talk about, mention whatever they want to, you know, if they want to mention anything that's changed or whatever, but I just wanted to give them a chance so we're not monopolizing all the time, because sometimes the women don't say much, and it's just sort of how it is, but I want to give them a little bit of time to talk. Well, that's good. I want them to talk. That's what this time is for. So, anyway, I just wanted to give a chance. We're gonna go. We're gonna start with Joita. She don't. Oh, okay. All right.
No, I think one of the things that used to be about the dinners and about the funerals and everything is that we may not do everything right, but if we do it with good heart, we're doing our best, then that's okay. One of the things that I think is important too is one of the things I've preached to all these guys is no controversy. You know, you may not like the way somebody's doing something, you may not like the way, you know, things are going on, but if it gets down to you getting irritated about it, then you got to set it aside. You know, because that, the whole thing for all of us to come together is to prepare that road and to prepare that body for his journey, for that person's journey. And so you want to do that in a good heart. You don't want to have hard feelings about things. You can't be mad at somebody. You can't have people coming in and griping. You got to set all that aside. The first and foremost, most important thing, you got to set it aside. You want to take it up later, take it up later. But you don't bring it around that body. You don't bring it to this food. You don't bring it to that fire. You don't bring it to anything. You set it aside. It's the most important thing. To take anything away is when you get ready to put that person away, you do it in a good way, in a good heart, and you set aside that controversy. You know. And it used to be the men did come help those women. They'd have to carry pots and all that kind of stuff, and it was always fun. And I remember growing up as a kid, you know, we always had, you know, they didn't cut up the meat like they do. They don't have all this prepared food. And, you know, the men would bring in these big pot of meat, and everybody sit around, and the women would all visit the night before and cut up meat and get ready for the dinner and stuff. That's kind of all been it's diminished because it took a lot of people to make it happen. And it was a community effort, you know, setting up with the body, everybody be, you know, now they expect you to bring in the food and to cook all the food and all that. Everybody brought something. And they all came together, and there was a kind of a camaraderie that I kind of miss these days, because everybody would be bringing something, and it was always, well, what did they bring? Oh, such and such brought this. Oh, yeah, that's really good. Let's go eat, you know, that kind of thing. So, yeah, bringing the food and sitting around cutting everything up, and you know, there was a kind of an energy that went into that is kind of missing these days. But it was fun. It was fun as part of, you know, just being able to experience that.
Boy, growing up, I didn't get to play. Folks I had to sit in the corner and watch. I had to listen. My brother and sister got to play. It made me mad a lot of times, but they told me one day you'll be grateful for it. And times like this, I am. I'm grateful for what I was able to learn. So many points that have been brought out, you know, that's in the back of my mind, I forgot. Of course, I'm old and I forget a lot. But in the beginning, from what I can recall and what I saw and was told, when we lost someone, when they was getting ready to make their journey, then that father would go and have someone build a fire, or he would appoint someone, and he didn't do it, his uncle, his brother or an uncle. If there were no uncles, then it went to a nephew. If there was no nephews, then it went to the eldest son. If there were no sons, then it went somewhere close. It had to be a male relative. That relative, once they were chosen, they took over all the responsibilities of finding someone to get a crew together to dig the grave. They worked with the people who started the fire. They helped watch that fire. And believe me, our tribe should be so grateful is so proud of these boys. They sacrifice their time and their bodies. I have watched these boys do back-to-back funerals. That's not easy. For some of us, we can't sit up the number of hours they do. I've sat and watched these boys time after time in the cold, in the rain, in the snow, in the heat, and do that. And I'm grateful to them, and I'm proud of them. And like Ricky said, we should honor them. So the firemen and the gravediggers are basically nowadays almost all the same. But our fireman is the one that I was told that we honor the most because he watches that fire. He's a sentinel for our loved one, while whoever is putting away our loved one sits at the head of that coffin. And it's the head lady, someone that they've chosen, asked to, take over the kitchen duties. That one brings the meal to that person. Or nowadays, out of respect, so they're relieved and they can go and do that. There's a lot of controversy about families cooking for their people. I've been told many times, your family, that's your family out there. You're not supposed to be in here. Well, you know what? A long time ago, if you didn't cook for your family, and if you didn't go out and dig that grave for your loved one, what'd you do? You sat there? What if you lived way off different from everyone else? Did you sit there and hope somebody would come by and help you? That wasn't our way. We took care of our own. We cook, and in all of my tribes I've been raised, you go in there and cook, because these people are coming to say farewell to your loved ones and to be respectful to them, pay their respects. They're your guests, and in your loved one's honor, you're going to be respectful to them, and you're going to feed them. You're going to take care of them. That's why your family is in that kitchen. Okay, in that last, at midnight, the last meal, you get out of that kitchen, because that's where the one who's going to be the cook that's going to be cooking those memorial, that feast, and all the memorial dinners after that, it's the same group. They come in and take over. But in the meantime, while your family is in there cooking, and maybe it's only one person, you have other people who come in and help you, cousins, relatives, friends of your loved one, They come in. You don't turn them away when they come in and offer to help, because they're coming out of respect. And I have seen a lot of kitchens where they've turned away. No, we don't need you. Be respectful. Let them wipe a table. Let them dry a dish. Let them do something to show their respect. Because it's not about you or your feelings. It's about your loved one. And like Carrie said, all those feelings needs to be set aside, because it's that loved one. Because we were told, they're laying there watching us. And at the same time, they're visiting all the places that they've been. They're reminiscing, they're preparing, they're making their preparations. So you want things good for them. You don't want them to start their journey with a heavy heart, a broken heart, you want everything good. That's the way I was raised about it. I've seen it. And people come in and bring food, you acknowledge that. You think to be thankful, because they're bringing things out of respect and love. Not to you, but to the family, and because of that loved one. And I watch these boys, and I'm grateful to all the ones who come up, cook breakfast for these gravediggers many times. And I set the table for them. Normally now we've gotten down to this little buffet style thing. I'm not happy with it. But for the sake of convenience, it's kind of a given thing now. But my tradition that I was taught, and what I always adhere to, is I honor those gravediggers. I set the table for them and serve them. They deserve that at the very least. And I've been fortunate and really glad when I see different ones come and eat breakfast with these boys and go out and help them. And when you get to the gravesite, sometimes you see only a few and you kind of worry for them because, you know, you think they're going to have a hard time. But when you get out to the gravesite, many times my heart has been so full, you know, because I've seen 30, 20, 30, as many as 40 gravediggers out there. They come out out of love and respect. That's a good feeling. Makes the family feel good. The people, all of you, no matter how small it is, when we lose a loved one, to go and say, even if you don't know them, you go and respect that family and offer your sympathies, you know, because that's a tribal member. It's a tribal member, and tribal, we're family, all of us, in one way or another. And I'd like to see that more often. Many of you who want to come and help, but you're afraid because maybe you've seen some of the treatment, don't do that. You come and help. You offer your help in one way or another. The kitchen, cleaning, out there watching the fire. Let me tell you, you men in the audience, you really need to make an effort to help. An hour or two, it makes a difference to these boys who have been out there 12, 14, 20 hours. Be able to get a catnip. Do that. Make that effort.
Somebody talk about the significance of the tobacco on the table, or the place setting, what's on the plate.
Well, we didn't have all like the place settings, you know, there's a certain order that it's like in our church, there's the order you bring that food in and everything. There's a certain order for setting the table. And, you know, setting those places and bringing what order you place the food on the table. Originally, you know, a long time ago, they didn't have all of this fruit and candy and cookies and gum and tobacco. They had tobacco and the water. That's all they had. And like Carrie and I were saying, we were told when we were brought up, before the lead and zinc came and some of these families were wealthy, there are people, and we still have some now, we shouldn't, but we still have some who have rough times and can't afford it. You only got tobacco, you only got water, that's all you got. Use it. That tobacco is the same as cedar to us, is what I was told. I don't know about anybody else, but when you smoke that tobacco, you're smoking with them kind of like you're giving them a farewell, your last smoke with them when they go. And it has to be, everything on that plate has to be eaten before sundown. And if you can't finish it, you take it to the east and you talk to the person that's gone on and you wish them a good journey and you take everything off that plate and order it in and set it. A long time ago, they used to have glass plates, you know, we didn't do this lazy disposable stuff, you know. But that's the significance of.
So this is the deceased last meal.
Yes.
Do you place that meal with them when they go?
It's made on the grave, yeah. The last meal is the head cook along with the oldest daughter or sister. Sometimes it's been the wife, you know, or a grandchild, but that's where the female come in. That is made, and while everyone is, you know, during the praying and smoking off and whatever, they travel to the gravesite and place it on the gravesite. So once they get back, by that time, then all the smoking and everything is done, then they, you know, do the prayers and blessings, you drink your water and you eat your meal. But one thing I see a lot of now, and it really upsets me, I don't know how any of you feel about it, you ladies, but people get up, they eat and they get up as soon as they're done without being released, as is referred to, you know. And usually, well, Ricky, you know, down there, whenever they say, eat when you're done, you know, they give you permission to get up and leave that table.
Everything's in order.
Yeah, it's all in order.
So when you're in order,
Mhm.
you have to be released from that.
Yeah. But
So
sometimes,
a lot of people don't understand that.
and a lot of times, I'm sorry, ladies. Anyway, a lot of times the cook they're supposed to stand there with the person who's done everything, you know. They tell you, you know, it's kind of a welcoming gesture to the people who are eating. But the person will tell you, you know, drink the water, you know, and they'll tell you about the tobacco, and they'll tell you whether or not you can eat and get up and go. But most times they will tell you, please remain seated until you're released. But now, you know, so many people in our areas of service, they're so small, you know, you have to feed them in kind of waves. This group, and as soon as they're done, the helpers are putting another plate down for someone else to sit and eat.
Was that cedar a part of that? Before you go to your meal?
Yes.
What-
That's
did anybody
that's the
talk
final
about it?
cleansing. That's the final cleansing there, you know. You're supposed to clear your mind and, I don't know how to say it. You're crying, you're worried, you're sad, you know. But that's what that was told. You use that water, clean yourself. Use that cedar, clean your mind. You know. Yeah. 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 Mm-hmm. Yeah. But that's the way we do it.
When you put that food out, a lot of times too, what I've seen is, when you put that food out, you want to be sure that everything that you've got goes on that plate. You know, sometimes people just put little teeny weeny bit. Now you wouldn't eat that. You'd want a big piece. You don't want to. You put that just as if you're feeding yourself. You know, don't be stingy with their food. You give them everything. You give them coffee. You give them cakes. You give a big piece of, you know, some corn. You give them whatever you're eating out there. You put it out. Maybe take 2 plates, but you put all of it out there, and then you take it to the grave. Because that's for them. This dinner and everything, that's for them first. That's the very first person you serve.
And afterwards, there too, there are the memorial dinners.
Yeah.
So that hasn't been mentioned yet.
So you have 4 dinners. You have the dinner on the day of the funeral, and then you have 4 in memory of around the date of their death. When it's, you know, it's like a weekend or whatever, but it makes no difference. I mean, if you make that commitment to have those big dinners, then you have to make that commitment. But like with COVID and things like that, we weren't able to have that. And people would call me up and say, well, my memorial dinner's coming up. How am I supposed to take care of this? And it's, you take care of it with them in mind. You know, something may come up, you can't afford that dinner. You come up and you can't everybody get together. As long as you go through that, like I said, with your heart's good, and you go through that, and you try to make that happen for that person, then that's the way, you do the best you can. But you have to do those 4. If you start, you have to do 4. Now we have the memorial dinners now that's supposed to help take care of that. But
One thing I was also told when I was growing up, the night before midnight is a very powerful time when someone is going to the next world. And I remember that very nicely. I did have a question. It's been mentioned a couple of times with the burial itself.
hard to hear what the question was. Is there a way to do what?
When you're at the dirt, saying goodbye to dirt.
Talking about the last handshake part of the funeral.
Throwing the dirt on the casket.
Don't throw the dirt in the face
At the very end. I was taught by Aunt Frances, and Aunt Frances is even saying the same thing. That Aunt Babe and Aunt Billy, when we lost members in our family, that we don't throw dirt in our people's face. Aunt Frances was just saying, what you tell them what you said? It's like throwing dirt in the face.
This doing of the, sprinkling of the dirt, it's as close as Carrie and I were just discussing it too. But this started probably maybe 15, 20 years ago. What our problem is now with our funerals, and other tribes too are experiencing this, we have inter-tribal marriages. So one person wants this because they like what this tribe does, another one, I want this because they do this over there. What's happening now is a lot of our funeral ceremonies are being combined with other tribes, just like I'm guilty of this also. We buried my brother and my sister in a certain way, my grandson, my son. When my father passed away, my mother said, you follow his ways because I'm all you have now. And my people are losing their ways, and that's the way we follow. So we buried them. Well, then we went to honor our mother, so we incorporated a few Quapaw things. Now what is happening is a lot of these families are coming in and they're seeing this and they're thinking that the whole 9 yards from beginning to end is gospel Quapaw ceremonies, and that's not so. But it started about, like I said, 15 years or so, where someone they put tobacco down. And then the next funeral we went to, they were putting tobacco and dirt down. The certain tribes do that, but Quapaws never did. And I was always told, you might as well either spit on them or throw it in their face when they're alive. That's disrespectful. You don't throw it. But some tribes also, they'll take a shovel of dirt, each one of them, and that's their way of helping bury their own, But we don't do that. We just don't do that. It's not. Grace, can you remember way back in those? Did you ever see that before? The past couple of decades.
I'm just thinking it might be Catholic.
Yeah.
Catholics do that?
No.
They don't?
I was just telling
Catholics don't do that?
I've never.
The holy
I
water.
think it's the top, yeah, Catholic, do that.
No, what?
But we're not.
No, but it was my family. My grandmama says. I made some notes, so I didn't know if you guys wanted me to share them or not.
Sure.
Okay, so my name is Dina Huey, and I started helping Aunt Mary, Aunt Maud, and Aunt Seal right here in this building. This is where I started out. We had tables lined up, and back there through that door is where they cooked. And I got to set the table. That was my job, to set the table and to help serve drinks. So if you hear me say something wrong, call me out on it, because I don't want to do anything wrong. But I was told that we don't start making arrangements until after that person is gone. Up here at the community building, sometimes they get word and they'll start setting up tables and chairs. You don't do that because they're not gone yet. That's why I asked when the person passed away is when that first day starts, because that's very important. It's already been said, we set up 3 days and we bury them on the 4th day. And then, as soon as that person, passes away, that's when you start that fire. That's, what they said, flint fire. And, I was told the oldest uncle, but then Minnie Francis gave us a breakdown of how that works. It's an honor to be asked to be a head cook, and the head cook is to get wherever that body's going as soon as she can. And then once you get there, you try not to leave. If you need something, then you send one of your helpers. I don't know what the process is now, but sometimes you have to go get the keys to get in the building, but usually J.O.'s already there. And you start making coffee and get ready for lunch or dinner. Whatever meal you're on. This is what I've been told. You eat at 6 breakfast, noon lunch, 6 supper, and 12 midnight. Now breakfast, it depends on the season. When it's winter, the sun comes up later, right? And then in the summer, the sun comes up earlier. So you have to gauge your time that you start breakfast by the time those guys need to go dig that grave. So that's something you gotta remember. I always like to have a man around. He lifts pots and he carries, he keeps the fire sometimes for us. Job Thomas is good about that for me. I like to cook outside on the main day. That your food tastes different. Supposed to start. Okay, see, there you go. It's supposed to start from them holes. The head cook needs to be there when they bring that body from the funeral home. And they need to be there with your speaker anytime they do something to that body. Whether they pray, place that feather, place that bundle, paint them. You need to be around that body and make sure that that's what's going on, because that is your job. Your job is to take care of that body and make sure that it's not, messed with in any way. I was always taught that you tell them when you come and go. When you come to the wake and you see the body first, and you talk to them. And then when you get ready to go home, you say, I'm going home. You let them know what's going on. I was told that, and don't get me wrong, you talk to that family and whatever they want is pretty much what you go with. I was told that the head cook makes the moccasins, the Quapaw moccasins, and you do that on the third day, the third night, and you do it before midnight. You have to have their moccasins on. But some families already have moccasins ready. So you honor that family by letting them, use those moccasins. I'm always the one to put them on when I'm the head cook. And there needs to be a black silk scarf on the third night so they can go to sleep. And I was told that there's no metal. They can't have any metal on them because that weighs them down on their path. I've been asked to lift the veil on the 4th morning, wake them up, and wake that person up right after daylight. Is there something? Okay. And this could change also, what the family wants to put in their bundle. But I was told that you have to have at least a change of clothes, a pair of shoes, a bowl, a plate, a spoon and a fork, and a toothpick. Oh, smoke? Smoked or chewed, put cigarettes in there, or chewed.
I got a question about that bundle, because it used to be when I was small, you know, it was just, you had a bundle, you had maybe 2 bundles, but the bundle that contained a plate and cup and maybe a bucket that was in there, whatever, actually went to the person who buried it. And then but some of these people are putting so much stuff in the coffin now that they can't even close the coffin. You know? And it's just, yeah, it's just small. I've seen people have something like this big trying to put it in the coffin.
I never heard about the change of clothes, but I
Yeah, I
heard
have.
it did. Plate, fork, spoon.
But a lot of that stuff, we always gave to the person who was in charge of the burial. And I don't think that they've been getting that. They get the blanket and stuff, but I haven't seen them be getting, you know, the personal items of the individual that passed away. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. But I think a lot of times it kind of combines, like you said, we're all different tribes and things like that, and they kind of intermingle. Yeah. What do you remember, Mike?
I always see the family give them a choice whether they want to visit with them or give it to the guy that was burying them. But usually the blanket usually wins for it.
Yeah.
I always think that was.
We always get
Grace? Yeah, we don't either.
So then, like I said, we asked the family what they want, what that person liked, what they want on the main day. And we order the cake, the sheet cake. I have a list that grocery list, that menu. Here it is. Hey, Johnny Bud. This was gave to me by Judy. Yeah, Chrisman. It's just a basic menu for Indian funeral. Beef and gravy, beef and hominy, corn and pork, chicken and dumplings, fried bread, and grape dumplings. And then here's your shopping list. 10 pounds of beef and pork steak and things like that would feed about 300 people. And then you got brown sugar. If they wanted beans and ham hocks, or fried chicken, or potato salad, or if they like baked beans. Okay, so you ask the family what they want, and if they say you just take care of it, then that's what you do. The family gets the cigarettes and the candy, and it's our job to keep it filled throughout the week, empty those ashtrays. I'm the same way on the buffet stuff, because I always heard that you set it down on the table family style. And you're right, it is easier because you only have 12 bowls to wash instead of 38. But, yeah. So, family, every meal used to be family style. And now only breakfast is more or less a sit-down meal. You make that plate, that person's plate before anyone else eats, and give them their drinks and coffee. And another thing is, I say we, it seemed like a long time ago, they used to sit across from each other. They would put that person's plate right there across, but now we put it at the end of the table. Yeah, so that's, changed, because it was like you was having supper with that person. You was sitting across from them. You was a friend, and you was coming to eat with that person, is why it was sitting across. You take that plate after everybody's done, and you dump it in the east. And I was told that you have to have that meal on the table by noon on that 4th day. And you have to have them in the ground before noon.
Are you talking about that plate's different than the plate you take to the grave?
Yeah.
Or are you talking
Talk about that every.
Yeah,
with
every
meal
night.
plate.
I'm sorry, that
Okay.
main meal, that last night, you take it to the grave. Yeah.
Yeah,
That last meal?
Okay, you said night, so I thought you were talking.
No, that
Okay.
afternoon.
I'm with you then. I'm
That
with you.
noon meal.
Okay,
That noon
yeah.
meal, you
Yeah.
take it to the grave.
All right.
Now, some people, like, will take that plate and put it at the head of the coffin,
Yep.
you know, as opposed to putting it at the table.
Okay.
But either way, you're still fixing a plate, I guess is.
So if that's the way the family wants to do it, that's the way we do it. Yeah.
When does the cook?
After everybody else is done.
After everybody's done.
You never, as a cook and a helper, if there's one person sitting at that table and everyone is gone, you do not take anything from that table. You do not clear those tables until they are done. That last person has to be gone before you clean it. And whenever you clean that and you're ready for the next meal, you take even a salt and pepper shaker. I'm seeing those being left in there, because that means it's kind of a continuation, overlapping of those meals. You clear those tables completely. But that last, at that dinner, I'm seeing that a lot. You're still eating, and I'm seeing that being disrespectful to a lot of our elders too. I'm seeing them sitting there trying to eat, and here they are, coming along, combining all these tables, these bowls and stuff, yanking all that off. No, you're not, it's gonna take you till 10 midnight. You stay there until everyone is gone, and then you clean. Because those people came out of respect to your love, and you don't insult them by saying, okay, it's all over and done with, eat, get out. You don't do that. You let them finish. And it's an honor to your loved ones that they bring these little containers to the table. Maybe they have someone at home who couldn't do it, that would like to share in that.
Well, that food is a sacrament, it's a blessing. So we wanna share that blessing with people who couldn't attend or who take it home with you. Yeah, it's important.
And there's also the other thing is, that food is blessed. And I've heard people with diet problems, diabetes, and that. I can't have that. Oh, I'd like to have it, but I can't. You know what? That's the time when you can eat it, because it's been blessed. And something that's blessed by God is not gonna hurt you. And that's what I'm seeing. Another thing I forgot to tell you all, you were talking about the fire? That fire burns until that last thing comes off of the fireplace. It'll burn, and then, but when it's separated, at midnight, at daylight, when they separate it, the cook goes at daylight, cleans her fireplace. The firemen bring that coals and starts that fire, and then they take the one for their gravesite. But that fire goes, but those firemen assign one of them to come and watch that fire for you. There used to be others that, would come and help, but basically what it was before. I'm seeing it now again. And I'm grateful for it.
One thing that I thought was disrespectful is we had tables set up, and it was a big family, and another whole family came in. There was like 10 or 12 of them, and they set up their own table, and they set up their own chairs. And it's like, what are you doing? I mean, because we have, it kind of offended me, but it was mainly because I didn't have enough bowls to put on that table. And I had already set all the food out on the table, so I didn't have any corn and pork to put on that table for that family. When I was little, we had more than one table. You would sit on these benches. You would sit on those benches, and then when somebody got up, that head cook would say, okay, you can eat. And you can eat. And then that's the way it was. You didn't set up your own table. I was so amazed.
I would have been too.
And another thing is, one time, unfortunately, I have a hard time on being on time. And you're supposed to have that meal on by noon. Well, sometimes your wood is wet. You know, sometimes you don't have any wood. I mean, these boys are good about it now, but sometimes you didn't have to be, you didn't have wood. So maybe that run behind, and Catfish said, don't worry about it because I would just fret so bad it wasn't on by noon. And he'd say, don't worry about it because back then we didn't have time. We didn't have clocks. You know, it got done whenever you put it on the table. Yeah. And these are just some of the things that I was thinking about when they asked me to come up here. Payment is whatever the family thinks. Used to be you didn't give money, but now everybody needs it. So you give it to your head cook, and then she gives it to her helpers. Same thing, anything left over, we used to leave like plates and cups and whatever was left over by the family, we'd just leave it in that kitchen. And then the next time the next family that had pass away, then they got to use those cups and plates until you got started. You know, you could go to the store and buy stuff. Now, the last time I cooked, they said, don't leave anything because they take it, they trash it, but we would leave like canned goods, paper sacks, bowls, plates. Now the perishables, of course, they go home with the family. If the family don't want it, then the cooks divide it up between themselves, like flour or beans or milk or something that would go to waste. And same way, memorial dinner 1 year after and 3 years in a row, closest to the date that you can get. That's all the notes I have. Thank you. Thank you for asking me.
Oh, yeah.
There's an order in the. I'm not sure there's really anything. See, let me run, because I know you can't hit me if I run. If I'm sitting still, you can hit me. She can too. Actually, it's backwards. If you're sitting still, she can't hit you. If you're running, she can't.
She got rocks.
I know. So there's an order in the way that people should. I can remember as a kid in this same building that Aunt Maud and Aunt Seal would come out and they would set people. And you didn't just go and sit down. They came and they got you and said you could, and they would usually set all of the men, then the elders, and then women after that. But you didn't just go sit down. Because if you did, they jerked you out and made you go, they made you get up and made you go sit back on those exact same benches. So there, I mean, there's an order to everything. And like we've all said, you're always welcome in our kitchen. We're always, thankful and grateful for the help, you're always welcome. I don't want to do the do's and don'ts. You do the do's and don'ts. You haven't talked at all.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, did someone have a question?
No, they're making fun of you. Go ahead.
Oh. Are you supposed to cover the, like maybe if you're in somebody's house, maybe there might be some pictures?
Oh, yeah, no reflections. There's not supposed to be any reflections. And aren't you supposed to stop the clocks too? No? Never heard that one? Joanna says yes, you guys say no, so I don't know. That's why I'm asking. I've never personally never had reflections.
Not one to work.
They took that one out of the kitchen out one time. We were looking at it. It wasn't the right one.
Say it in the mic, Mark. They want to hear it. They want to hear what you're saying.
Okay, she was talking about reflections and mirrors and clocks. Okay, we didn't have clocks a long time ago. But if nowadays, if it makes a reflection, yeah, you have to cover it along with the mirrors and the windows, you know, because we believe there are other spirits out there that aren't good. You know, and we're in there trying to make things good for our loved ones. So don't cover your clocks unless it reflects.
Cover your glasses, your mirrors. That's the first thing that my kids go, and as soon as, and TV, and that's the way they do.
The only thing I was gonna say is when you're fixing those memorial dinners and the meal is really think about what your family member liked to eat.
Yeah.
That's always the thing, is what was their favorite? And what did they really just not like? So if you're gonna fix a dinner, don't put out fried chicken if they don't like fried chicken, you know, that kind of stuff. Or some people I know don't be doing great dumplings, I don't know. But leave the cake. Yeah, and Quapaw dinners traditionally always had bean bread. I don't even remember the last time Quapaw dinner had bean bread. Good.
Hey, Carrie.
Yeah.
I want to touch on about people not sitting down before being invited to sit down.
Well, it gets back to what we've been talking about. There's an order, you know, and so it's disrespectful to sit yourself at a table. And it gets, until that plate is delivered and those people are back from that returning from the grave, you really shouldn't be trying to crowd and pick out your place and all that kind of thing. Used to be you didn't sit down any place until the head cook told you where to sit. But there is, you know, the minister, the person who oversaw the Indian rights, the Gravediggers, you know, then family, and then, you know, that, and then it was also the men, women, and wait for the children. A lot of times people put their children first. In our Indian community, it always was they had to wait, you know, especially for everyone else to go first. So now it changes, but it's disrespectful just to go in and put your place. It shows me that you don't know what you're doing. You know.
Jacket on the chair or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. always drink that water first thing, put that water on the table, it's real important. You know, when you're, you know, the protocol is on the water and stuff is, that's, after they say that prayer, you drink that water before you eat. Yeah. Yeah, if you have, you know, people waiting and tables are full, you let your child sit aside, or you put them on your lap or something, but you let that elder person sit down first. So, you know.
So I want to touch on real fast what Carrie was talking about on, that she had several people call her over the last couple of years on with COVID and us not being able to have memorial dinners. Because I had those same phone calls. We were supposed to have Jennifer's dinner a couple of years ago. We were supposed to have Shap's funeral last year, and we weren't able to do that. So my response to them was, do it at home. You can cook your dinner at home. That's okay. You don't have to have the dinner at that building or over here at the church. You can do it at home with your immediate family and just set it out. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that either. And like she said, cook what they like. Cook their favorite things. That's what it's there for. The other thing is, again, what they're touched on. Every family does it different. I don't care if you're Quapaw and you're a Shap, you're a Quapaw, you're a Buffalo, you're a Quapaw, you're an Ellie. It's different every time we cook a funeral. Every time we go and sit, something is not going to be the same. So, like they said, you go and ask your head man, you go and ask the immediate family, how do you want us to do it? What do you want us to serve? And then go by what they say. Yeah, you've got the basics, you've got the main things like J.O. said, the different things that we try to touch on, but more than likely, it's not going to be the exact same. I haven't cooked one that's been the exact same. It's different probably every time.
That's what I think about as far as, you know, you can videotape, you can write it down, you can do all of those things, and they can help you as a prompter.
Yes.
But until you get that oral tradition, and you listen to these people and you watch these people, you're really not going to know. You have to experience it.
And we welcome any help, whether it's in the kitchen or at the fire or digging a grave. We want everybody there. The more help we get, the less work it is on everybody. And staying up for those 3 nights, 4 days, it's hard on a body. And we're not getting any younger. And those younger ones, yeah, we're getting some come up, but not near as many as we'd like. So we definitely welcome any help. I had notes as well, but she pretty much covered everything I was thinking, talking about. The one thing that I can touch on real fast is what I miss growing up is whenever there would be way more people in the evening times or night times, and we were playing Indian dice in there, like poker. We were playing games all night long, and the fellowship and the laughs that would happen, which, you know, people are thinking, you're laughing at a funeral? Yeah, we're there to fellowship and to, you know, lift up the spirits of those that are, to help the people that are, you know, mourning, that are, you know, just lost their loved one. We're there to help them get through that, whether it be as somebody that's just there to play games or just to talk, or whether they're there with a job to do. But, you know, we're there to help that family as best we can. And I think that's all I have.
Okay, will you touch on to-go containers again, and that it's okay to take food home?
Absolutely.
Because I don't know how many times we try to give away food at the end, and people just don't take it, you know?
Absolutely.
And it's acceptable to take
Yeah.
it. Oh, yeah.
Okay, here I am again. Okay, it's also, as the cooks and helpers in there, it's our responsibility to see that the gentlemen out there watching the fire are taken care of. That they have food, that they have coffee, drinks, whatever, you know, that's our place to go and take care of them.
I don't know how you guys feel about it. Someone said to me just a while ago, is the children sitting at the head while, you know, while the body's lying in state. We were always told, I was told, you know, don't bring like, you know, like little babies around and things like that because death could follow them home. We always told, you know, keep your babies at home. Yeah, and if you're pregnant, you stay home because you don't, the same thing, you don't want death to follow you or cause problems. And I think people forget that. I always think about my grandmother and my mother, and they have all these baby pictures in the womb and stuff like that. And I was brought up that you don't have baby showers till after the baby's born and things. And I just think my first time I saw that was several years ago, and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe somebody put that on Facebook, you know, because it'd be causing, for me, it was bad luck. You know, and now it's just a common occurrence. But yeah, we always feel that, you know, it's a protection. You don't put your children around death like that. That's just the way I was brought up. I don't know.
I wanted to talk about the end. Somebody has to sit with that person at all times while they're in the casket. Somebody always has to sit there. It used to be when Aunt Ma and Aunt Sil and them, they had a relative, not a close relative, and that person stayed there for 4 days. Get up and have coffees and go to the restroom, back to that chair. Now we have anybody come sit in that chair. Supposed to be watching over our loved one. And I lost it. It used to be just men. That's what I thought, and I feel a little disjointed here. I grew up here when we had a death. We didn't even have this longhouse in our house. You know, I'd like you guys to think about having your loved one in their house. Not enough chairs. Everybody coming up and and now we have the longhouse, and then we are longhouse on up there where we eat. and up here at Quapaw's longhouse, I just don't see that anymore. And I don't see people staying up the night before all night. To me, that's important. To me, I heard my father say, go down there if all you can do is stay up one night. That's all it takes, one night, to sit there and think about the one that's going on. Talk to them. Tell them how fortunate they are. And that you'll be there. Somebody will be there. I'd like to see it get back to a man sitting there. That there's, I just got through sitting up with my mother. And I shouldn't have, but I did. It didn't seem like anybody else was interested, or maybe they didn't know. That's all I have to say on that.
Hey, Everett, if I could. A lot of our relatives are right here. You know, what we've been talking about, or we've been listening about death and everything, you know? We've all lost. We've all lost, you know? You hear these kids out there, that's the future right there, man. They're gonna be sitting there here in a couple of years, you know? Maybe bring a little positive into it too. Teach them kids, man. They should know some of this stuff too. Am I wrong? I listen to these women. You know what? I have a lot of respect for you guys. You guys don't even know. All right? Trust me. You guys over there too? I got a lot of love and respect for you guys also. All right? You guys know that. You know, I ain't have to tell you guys, but I want everybody here. Maybe they'll get in their head. Maybe they'll change their way of thinking. Maybe they'll say something different. You know, I heard a lot. Each one of you guys said something different. I appreciate it. You know, I just want to say that, you know, listen, I take care of my elders the best way I know how to do it. Okay? Now, them little ones, they're the next ones. All right? Don't worry about me. Don't worry about me. Take care of myself the best way I know how to. But it's them little ones out there. They're going to be sitting up here. They're going to be next cooks, next gravediggers, you know? I mean, death is hard.
Yeah.
It follows us, you know? You can't stop it. Once the body's on the ground, you can't stop it. All right? It follows you. And I just hope it don't follow them. You can learn a lot from them kids. Patience, understanding, you know, there's a lot you can learn. I don't know it all.
Yeah.
But maybe they can. Maybe they'll teach. Maybe just take time out, just sit down and talk to them.
You don't learn at funerals, you learn during powwow and other
Everyday
ceremonies
life.
and where things are happy and
That's
that,
what I was
you
getting
know,
at.
this,
I mean,
like you said, that's part of that order too.
when
You
we
learn
go
those
home,
things all along, you know.
yes, we gotta live with this.
Yeah.
I just want to tell you all thank you. I appreciate you all taking the time to speak and talk about things that we don't always talk about. I just want to tell you all thank you for taking the time to each individually say something. And then we're getting a little close, but we have about maybe 12 minutes here left before we're going to have a pottery discussion, and I wanted to do the same thing and give these men an opportunity to say something real briefly. No. I did that on purpose because I knew you all wanted to say something, and I wanted to kind of just give some structure, give you all time, a chance to say something, and sometimes we can say something and go real long, and sometimes we can go real short, and it's just things are how they're supposed to be. And so I wanted to mention that too. That's something that as Native American people, sometimes we forget because it conflicts with a European mindset. But things work out how they're supposed to. God made things how they're supposed to be. And we are supposed to be like that. And sometimes we get ahead of ourselves and our anxiety, and we want things to be a certain way. And it doesn't always work that way, but it's how God wants it to be. But I just wanted to mention a couple things that they were talking about death following you. And I heard some elders talk about that, and sometimes they said you could wash your face when you leave a funeral or use some cedar. And they talked about children and pregnant, and I didn't hear this, but I heard elders talk about, or if you're going to go to somebody's house or see them, and maybe they're elderly, or maybe they're ill, it isn't appropriate to go to a funeral and then turn around and go see an elder in the hospital. That's a traditional belief of our people that I was told, and I just wanted to mention that. Sometimes people don't hear that. But when you leave, you should, some people wash their face, or maybe they use cedar or something like that, but you shouldn't immediately go see somebody that might be, maybe they could go, so you don't want that to happen. And I also wanted to touch on something they were talking about, bringing food. We have a community, and I heard an elder that's actually sitting in our audience right now. He told me about his grandpa said, as Quapaws, we're supposed to love one another. That's how we're supposed to treat each other, with love and respect. And whenever somebody has a hardship, it's our role as Quapaw tribal members to be able to go see about each other, to be able to go give each other a hug, take them food. It's more than just food, though. It's everything. I heard them say that we're supposed to take care of our own. And so that's what I try to do, to be good to people. And then that's just what you're supposed to do. You don't expect anything. God will bless you for it. But then there is the aspect of it that someday you're going to need them. We need each other. And if we support each other, then we'll be there for each other. And then we develop a relationship like that, and that's the basis of our community. And so I just want to encourage everybody to come and participate, and sometimes people are worried about offending somebody, but to me the biggest thing is that you are trying and doing good and being loving and respectful, and just making some kind of positive effort for our people when they need you. So I just wanted to say that to anybody that's younger, that's what my thought is, and I want to pass the mic here.
Talk about the youth getting involved in this. The only way that's going to happen is if you as a parent or a grandparent or aunt, uncle, start bringing these kids to these events that we do. Because like I said earlier, the more help we have, the easier it is on us. And they're going to learn by sitting out around that fire for 3-4 nights if they are able to come and do that. And that's, for us to carry on, that's what's going to have to happen. So we can sit up here and tell all about it, but till we start getting our youth and our younger ones involved, we're gonna lose it day by day, and that's what we don't want. So I encourage everybody to, even like the women cooking and stuff, our yearly memorial dinner, bring your girls out, let them cook, bring the boys out, let them help with the fire. Let them cut meat up. That's what I did when I was young. Grandma selling them hog. I started cutting meat and stuff in here for them when I was 8, 9 years old. So, just bring them out. They're more than welcome, and will be greatly appreciated.
I just want to say it's an honor to sit up here and be able to be available for any questions. I don't know everything, but I'm always willing to help. That's what they feel, and some of them always said no. Someone asked you for help, we'll never turn it down. I just want to say that much. It's an honor to help you guys out, and help our people out, help our relatives out, the folks, and God bless you today.
I'm still just a young man sitting here, the youngest person sitting up here. I'm probably one of the youngest adults sitting in this longhouse right now. But I personally, I took
well, besides my relatives over here, but I took more interest in the fire. You know, the lion's share of the work, you know, the more physicalities and the sitting up, you know, is probably the hardest part. But there's more to it than that. There's a preparation. If you come around these things and you start to sit up and you start to ask questions, you start to pay attention, people are going to look at you. They're going to look at you and have you in the back of their mind, and they're going to know that one day you're going to actually, hopefully you'll retain something and you'll keep coming around. And one day you'll be needed there and you'll be helpful and useful, and it's more of a blessing than one person can ever ask for, the things that come in tenfold like that. But you never really learn if you don't show up. So what I have to say is, all you folks sitting out here, to my relatives sitting around, to the ones I don't know, you know, we're all sitting here. But these funerals, this fire, the heading, the cooks, all this to me in my heart revolves around the cedar and that fire, those holy elements like that, and the people who have things that were passed down to them, and the ways that we take care of it. So you folks, you kids ain't never gonna pick anything up if you guys don't come around. I understand that some families are different, they do things differently, and that's all right, you know. That's all right. It's just how it is. We've carried this same concept of a funeral ceremony for a long time in our folks and our tribe, our history, and things change over time. That's just how it is. But you guys bring them out because they're never going to learn. They're never going to figure it out if they aren't around, if they're not here. You parents bring your kids out. You guys you might not like the person laying over there, you know what I mean? Get over it, because one day that's going to be you, and you're going to need people to do that. These funerals are the most basic concept of taking care of somebody, because that is the last thing that you can do for anybody on this side of life before we pass on to the next. Is help take care of their body, help take care of their services, their family. Say something good, show up, show some love, give a smile, give a hug. It's it's more than I could ever say to you guys. I've been trying my best for the better part of 10 years now, actually, to show up and be of some use to my uncles, my brothers, my grandpas, the ones who left, the very few I still have left. You know, I just try to be virtuous and try to give all that I have, all the feeling and all the physical, anything I've got to try to help. I try to be the best way that I can. I didn't always used to be the best kind of person. I used to run around and party a lot, you know. I changed that though. That fire is something about them, you know, it's a real thing. That cedar is real. The things that these guys speak, that they pass on, that they try to explain in little bits and fragments, it's all real. It might be a little different, but the concept is still the same. The concept is still the same. I just want to tell you guys that and encourage you guys to bring your families out, participate, and get over your hurt feelings, you know. It don't matter. That ain't about you. Just keep on coming out and keep on coming out and keep on coming out. You're having a rough time in life. Go help somebody sitting up with their family like that. You'll be all right. And one more thing though. If you guys got any good dry wood laying around anywhere, bring it up to the ground. Yeah, people used to do that. You know what I mean? People used to do that. They used to help us like that, because you think about it, the whole funeral basis. What's the first thing you do when somebody passes away? We just start that fire, you know. That's the first thing you do, because that fire, that grandpa fire, he's a real thing. He's going to take care of you. He's going to light the way for that loved one. That feeling of loss that you guys get when you lose somebody, or somebody ripped out of your lives just on the moment's notice. That fire right there is going to take care of them. You want somebody good to build it for you. Somebody virtuous. Somebody good-hearted, humble to take care of that fire for you. Somebody good to run your funeral for you like that. The man you asked, the uncle, the nephew. Perhaps sometimes that's not the case. You have to rely on somebody else's family. You want them to be a good person like that. Your head cook, all their helpers, you want them to be good people. So you guys be good to one another. Help each other out. Even if you don't like anybody. I can't emphasize that enough. Honestly, because, you know how we are. You know how our families are. Some of our families don't like each other, but still yet we show up to help each other. You can love somebody and not like them. Still help them, give them all you got. Okay? That's just how it is, though. I just want to say that much and encourage you guys to bring your boys out, bring your girls out, bring yourselves out, because if your parents are here showing interest in it, your kids will. If your grandparents are, there ain't nothing like seeing your grandparents get in there wholeheartedly, whole-handedly, and you sitting there as a young man just sitting out there by the fire saying, I want to be useful, I want to be helpful.
It's the same in the kitchen when you're in there with your daughters and your granddaughters and your sisters. It's a good feeling they're there to help, they're there to learn, and maybe, you know, something, they'll pick up something that maybe somebody else didn't.
Yeah. Sure enough. Actually, yeah, that's how it is too. And have some etiquette though. Have some etiquette about yourself. Have some good humbleness about yourself. You don't go to somebody drunk or go to somebody all mad asking them to take care of something in a bad way like that. You know, be nice, be sober, take some tobacco, take something to them like that, and ask them in person. Don't just call them, you know, you show up to them and you ask them in person. I know that sometimes in this life right now, we're all spread out as people, we're all spread out all over the place. But do your best to show up and be there to help them, support one another to get through it. Because one day it will be us. It'll be your mom, your dad, your grandma, your grandpa, yourself, your kids. You never know. Life's crazy. You learn a whole lot sitting out there, sitting around that fire, watching these guys move around. It's crazy how it is. I just want to tell you guys that. I love you guys. I hope that you guys retain this and participate more actively and stick with it. You know, because as people, we don't have too many things left. We got a one-year dance. You know, we got this for the past last year and this year. This is nice too. We have our church house back where we have our funerals. Us as people, we still have our fire. So you guys just stick with it because we don't have a lot left. And I ain't got a lot of time left either. So here you go. Thank you.
Whatever Joey said. Just bringing it back all, you know, this may not have been the original way that we buried, but it's what we got left, and we try to keep it as much the same as possible. And these guys are passing dirty pictures up here. Well, they wanted me to mention about these staff and this stake that we place on the grave when we're finished covering them up. Growing up, what I was always told, I know some guys have probably heard something different. So I think I've heard one story where somebody said that staff was to lead them in that right path, that right direction. You know, and then that stake signified that there was a Quapaw grave, and that other tribes that passed it would know that it's a Quapaw grave. Things I'd heard previous to that was that staff was used to measure the body, and that's how big you dug the grave. It's just a measurement tool. So take that for what it's worth. Like I said, it may not be the original way that we conducted these things, but it's what we got now, and we're trying to keep it all the same as much as we can, not add anything, not take anything away. So, you know, it's a hard thing, especially when you have to do a child's funeral. That's the hardest thing you ever have to do. So with that being said, just take all that into consideration. Yeah, definitely come out, participate more. If you got questions, come up and ask. If you don't know the right person to ask somebody who they recommend that you ask. So, you know, there's never a dumb question. We're going to try to give you the best answer possible. So, that's all I got to say.
I just want to reiterate on what everybody here's been saying. You know, the best way to learn is to come and just be there, support that family. That's what it's all about in the beginning, and in the end, that's what it's going to be about. My former Uncle Kevin passed away. We had a lot of conversations. And I'd call him and I'd tell him, man, something happened and I didn't do this or didn't do that. You know, he just flat out told me, he said, you know what, you're not in control of this. That one upstairs, yes, Wakanda, creator of all things. He had a plan and it went just like he wanted it to. He said, I don't have the power to keep someone from going to heaven. I can't do that. I'm just a man. You can't do that. He said, it's just like he wanted it to be. That's the way it was. It's supposed to be like that. So he said, you know, you pray about it and you give it to him and he'll take care of it. And it's the way that I try to do it after that, after he told me that, you know. You're gonna make mistakes, you're gonna do things wrong, you're gonna fail in this life, that's what it's all about, but you gotta get back up and you gotta ask for forgiveness and he's gonna give it to you and he's gonna show you the way. It may not be the way that it's supposed to be, but that's the way he wanted it to be. And the only way that we can do that is to put effort into it every time. And do the best you can with a good heart, and it's going to be taken care of. And the Creator is going to take care of that loved one, and we're just here to help. We just want to be good helpers to him and to our tribe, to our people here. So that being said, come out and help us out. And help these ladies in the kitchen, help these men by the fire, help them out there at that gravesite. And learn, because we're not going to be here forever. And we need those little ones, those young ones, to follow in behind us. And we'll be the best that we can to teach and show you the way, but if you're not there to learn, there's not going to be anybody there to teach. So with that being said, I just want to say thank you for all for coming out today and listening to us. Hopefully something touched you and something will bring you back. So thank you. And again, we'll turn it back over to Brother Everett here.
Wow. Sorry. Too close to my mouth. I just want to tell you all thank you again. I said it that way on purpose. I just want to tell you all thank you again though. We were asked a few weeks ago, Joita and I, if we could help ask some folks, and we talked to some different individuals and tried to think of all the people that have helped with these kinds of ceremonies in our tribe. And as I mentioned earlier, we tried to ask all of them that we could, and some couldn't attend. Some maybe they had other commitments or whatever, but these individuals here, they all took time out of their lives to be here and speak in front of you, and it's not easy to speak in front of you people. It's easy for other people to criticize someone and look at them and say, oh, we don't think they're doing that right, or they didn't say that right. But that's not how we're supposed to be. And I just want to tell them thank you for sitting here and being willing to say something in front of our people like this. These women and these men, they didn't have to do that, and they chose to out of the goodness of their heart because they care about our ways. And so I want to acknowledge them for doing that and tell them thank you. And then I also want to acknowledge y'all and tell you thank you for taking the time out of your lives to come over here and listen to this and care about it and want good things for our people to be able to hold on to this. So I just want to tell you thank you. And then this has been a good day here that our business committee wanted to see happen. And so I want to tell them thank you for making an effort to do this for our folks so that we could talk and sit here together. And then I also we're about to turn this microphone over and go to Betty. She's going to speak about pottery. But before we did that, we've had a heavy conversation here. And it's kind of an old belief, you know, you don't talk about death too much whenever it's not going on, because you don't want it to come around. And so we wanted to have a prayer here at the end, just a little prayer. And I'm going to ask my brother Jeremy to close this discussion here with a prayer. So I just want to tell you all thank you.
I hope we're going to continue once again this time here. Just thankful for another day. Once again, thank you for that sun coming up over that horizon over there, dear Lord. Just thankful that we can have a gathering here today, and we can all come here in a good way and leave here in a good, safe way. And just ask that you might put a blessing on this dance ground here today, that all those men and women come out here to praise your name, dear Lord. We're going to dance for you, and we're going to sing for you, and we're going to give you all the thanks and all the glory, dear Lord. We just need you here in our lives, dear Lord. We're asking you to make a way for us. We're just thankful for all of our elders here that have made their way here, our young ones from oldest to youngest. I ask that you might put a blessing on them, dear Lord, from head to toe. Just grateful for you, all that you do, all that you mean to us. We can't say enough. As a tribe here, we are blessed, and we are grateful, dear Lord. We just thank you. In Jesus Christ's name I pray. Amen.
door. Well, if I don't, I might have to come find your phone, and we need to go up there and see if